So, I started this series more than 13 months ago. Thought it was going to take a month. It took longer. Um, but I'm ready to land this plane. So, I did say in one of the previous videos that I was going to show you all a cord cutting ritual. I'm not actually going to show the part where I did the spell that I cast, but this is what it looks like. You all can find what you need on your own. Um, it's been 6 years since I cut off like 90% of the non-family members I've ever known, and 2 years since I cut off the remaining, I don't know, handful of people. Um, I want to talk about the biggest boulder that I needed to remove, the deepest healing work that I needed to engage in order to come into my full self. Um, and that required everyone that bound me to previous timelines to get the fuck. So I'm going to tell you about my first trauma. Nothing graphic, nothing physical, um, emotional damage. But it's the first, it's the first time that I remember being harmed. And while as a kindergarten or a first grade, because I don't remember exactly when this happened, I just know the school that I was at when it happened. But as a little bitty baby, I didn't understand it, obviously, at this level. There were just certain wounds, openings in my psyche that were created, that led to a lot of the stuff that I've discussed in previous videos. And remembering that moment and unpacking all of that, um, it gave me a lot of love exchanged and solace with my inner child, with my future self, with all versions of me. Um, so when I was little, when I was in kindergarten and first grade, I went to a Christian, like elementary school, Christian school. And I was in an after school program as well. And in after school one night, I was sitting, in the cafeteria with the other kids, and I've been disassociating for a long time, right? So like I'm sitting next to a little boy who was my boyfriend, right? Um, he and his older brother were both my boyfriends at whatever point. They both had Z names, so I'm just gonna call him Z. So I'm sitting next to him, and his brother is sitting with him, and some other, like sort of older boys. So he and I were in the same grade. His brother was a little bit older, and I don't know, like I wasn't paying attention to the other boys. And he leans over, and the black woman who was in charge of, supervising us that evening yells for both of us to come to the front, which is where you went, come to the front and sit until your parents get there, because that's where you go when you get in trouble. And I don't, like, I just remember the shame, because like I hadn't done anything. Um, and so she said, "Z, you kissed her. You all are, whatever, whatever." And I'm, you know, freaking out, because I know that being in trouble here means I'm going to get in trouble when I get home. And it's just like I remember the embarrassment. I remember the shame, um, the fear, right? And so what I learned, one of the things that I learned, because I learned a lot of things in that moment, was that if a boy kisses you, even if he didn't ask you if he could, you're bad too. He's bad for kissing you, and you're bad for letting him kiss you, even, if he didn't ask for permission. And so that was my earliest memory of the type of victim blaming that people engage in. I remember my guardian getting there and being told what had happened. And I don't remember if I got a whooping or not. I just remember crying. And I know I cried myself to sleep that night. The problem is that Z never kissed me in the first place. The boys were talking amongst themselves, telling jokes, whatever they had going on. And he asked if I had heard the joke. And I said no. And so he leaned over to whisper it in my ear. And it was something goofy about like making macaroni and cheese out of breast milk or something like that. And and so I learned about victim blaming, but I also learned about truth not mattering because we couldn't convince her, and then I couldn't convince my guardian that he didn't kiss me. Like the thing we're in trouble for never happened. And so I learned that adults are stupid, right? I learned that a person can say something about you, and it doesn't matter if it's true or not, if other people are motivated to believe it. I learned that you get in trouble regardless of whether or not you did the right thing, regardless of whether or not someone else had even done anything wrong. And so we're both in trouble for something that never happened. My earliest memory of harm is that a little black boy got falsely accused of kissing me. And had it happened, it was without my permission. And so we're both in trouble regardless. We talk a lot, we, collective consciousness, collective communication. We talk a lot about the dangers to children, the way that kids are harmed. And we need these violent moments to point to. But a lot of kids are harmed and open to future harm by adults who are stupid, but also ignorant and unconscious, right? For a grown woman's first thought to be that a kindergartner or first grader had kissed another child as opposed to doing the thing that little kids do, which is whisper in somebody's ear something that didn't need to be whispered. Because I learned that I was bad regardless of whether or not someone had done something to me without my permission. When I had further experiences that happen when little kids are not taught boundaries, are not taught bodily autonomy, in fact, are taught that it's unloving, it's unkind, not nice, right? To not allow people to access you. You don't want them to. Because I learned that lesson very thoroughly when I had the kinds of experiences that come from that. There was no one in my life that I could tell and expect to be believed, or even if believed, not further harmed by them in some way. And that's continued. I'm 40 now and had a few hours of just really thinking about the fact that my physical, mental, and emotional safety has always been solely my responsibility, in that they would always be deprioritized in favor of whatever the person whose actual responsibility it should have been, or the people whose actual responsibility it should have been, whatever their preference was, typically, quote unquote, keeping the peace, really keeping up appearances. And doing the work in therapy some years back is what led to me removing all of the people that I had allowed access to me from those particular open wounds, those very specific open wounds. Understanding just the sheer volume of people that were in my life solely to use me in some way to boost their false self-image, their false self-appearance, and to make attempts to, like, I guess, shun me in various situations for being not unwilling, just unable to not just tell the fucking truth, right? Just not be real. We talk a lot about patriarchy. We talk a lot about the harm that come to everyone. You know, everyone suffers from patriarchy, but I don't think enough is said, particularly in the Black community, about so it's often said that, you know, the Black community is a matriarchy, and it's not, you know, in like the actual definition, but it's used as a shorthand. I understand that. Black women cause a lot of harm, like a lot of harm, and I find the type of physical, but also emotional and mental violence that Black women commit to children, to each other, to partners, whoever, you know, to commit. I find it almost more distasteful in a way, because Black women also talk so much about being, the most educated, the most accomplished. And so it's, on the one hand, you have so much more knowledge than anybody else who could be responsible for community harm or harm to our community, right? But so little interpersonal application. Like, Black women have been the nastiest people I've known. Like, I've ever had to deal with. Like, and to the point where no one else used to really like get to me. Like I had to get to a point in middle school where black women couldn't really get to me either, but or like black females. But like the reason why I'm quote unquote shameless or consider myself like shameless throughout all of my adulthood, the reason why I've always been able to stand on my own, the reason why I've always been able to be the only one telling the truth, be the only one trying to do the right thing. Shit. The reason why I've always been able to accept people calling me self-righteous because I don't go out of my way to cause harm and I don't fuck with people who do. Like, I don't support that fuck shit, right? The reason I've always been okay with that is because can't nobody tell me shit about me when at 5 or 6, bitches tried to tell me who I was. And I knew better. Like I remember consoling myself with, because this is a Christian school. I remember consoling myself with like, God knows my heart. God knows the truth. And I find a lot of the time that the heavy-handed, quote unquote, Christianity and godliness that black women prop up more than anyone is so fraudulent because they're so willing, those types of black women, that's what I'm saying, they and not we. They're so willing to cause harm as though they're just going to be forgiven for it by God later. Like, I've had so many experiences where black women I was supposed to be able to love and trust, that I given love and trust to, commit harm against me, apologize at whatever point it's discussed, and cause the exact same harm again, just in another situation. And that's why the 2025 rule that I established applies indefinitely. I'm not forgiving anyone. Like, I'm not forgiving shit. Not only because it actually hasn't been asked for, but even if it were, like, I'm not forgiving. And I'm not forgiving because intentional harm does not deserve forgiveness. Shout out to the Afro Zen. Intentional harm doesn't warrant forgiveness. You knew what you did. You knew what you were doing. You did it on purpose. And whether you've changed or not, whether you have healed whatever part of you sought to cause harm, because I'm not the kind of person who goes out of my way to hurt people, you will always be that kind of person to me because you've done it repeatedly, right? And the kind of people that go out of their way to cause harm to others, bitches that want to nitpick and get you to fight and argue, niggas that want to triangulate, you know what I'm saying? Like, just when you are that kind of person, if I see that you're that kind of person with me, there's no doubt in my mind that you're that kind of person with others. And so that's your character. That's who you are. That's a part of who you are. In the same way that not doing that is a part of who I am, that's part of who you are. And I've seen, I've seen it play out, obviously, with other people. Like, there's no one that has harmed me intentionally that I don't know for a fact caused harm to someone else in the same way intentionally. But like, when you're that kind of person, you can't change how I view myself. You have no credibility in anything that you have an opinion on unless it's, based on like objective facts, right? Like, you have no value. You don't have the same values that I have, and you have no value to me. Um, and I think that's the, let's not cause a fire. It's not shit. We're burning all the bridges, burn connection. But let's not burn anything. I know so many Black women who have done and are currently doing actual damage to their own kids because they are so fucking nasty and stank and unhealed. I know of at least 3 Black women around my age that have daughters that would be the kind of bitch to try to fuck their daughter's boyfriends. Like, I know 3 off the top, educated, whatever accomplishments, like, are just that fucking damaged. And part of the work that I know that I'm supposed to do is to highlight the way that we try to distance ourselves through our accomplishments, through our socioeconomic background, because so much of stuff that gets talked about as being like quote unquote ghetto or low class, I've only experienced from people who consider themselves classy, consider themselves quality. And so when I finally like just literally accepted, like, damn, I've been surrounded by loser bitches my whole life. Like, I've been surrounded by like nasty loser bitches my whole life. I've encountered these bitches in every fucking environment. Just nasty, stinking ass Black females. It became easy to just say, okay, well, I'll scrap all of it and start over. Easy. No worries. Now, I've restarted my life, you know, cutting contact with people, but there being like no malice behind it multiple times. I enjoy it. I went into therapy like, is there something wrong with me that I kind of like not knowing people I used to know and realizing like, no, I like for my timelines to burn. Um, but there is something to be said for all of the harm that we're suffering as a community at the hands of the non-Black people in power, and how much people who can speak about that with intelligence and reason, values, still want to cause harm themselves from the same nasty place. Like, I've had bitches obsessed with me like white people are obsessed with Black people. Like, you want to be around me because you claim to hate me. Like, because you claim to hate me, you want to be in my presence. That's some sick shit. That's full blown psychotic behavior. And we recognize it as psychotic behavior when we look at the history of us not being able to have shit without them coming and trying to destroy it. But like, I know multiple Black women who are that, have been that to me, likely to others. Like, you have the same disease, you have the same illness. I saw somebody say, well, we shouldn't consider racism and white supremacy as a mental illness. Okay, I mean, that's, hey, suffering from it causes it, so why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't that be? Whatever. I see it because I've seen it. I can't I can't fathom. I hate being around people I don't like. Like, I don't even like having to play nice with like people because we like work together. Like, I'm bad at that. Like, whew, And by play nice, I don't mean do my job. I mean like pretend like I want to engage in small talk and shit. Like no, like let's just like do what we're supposed to do and get it from around each other as quickly as possible. But like I've known multiple people over the years who like literally want to stand in my face, stand next to me, stand in my light because they lack it. Just like white people, right? Like a lot of white people. Like you lack light, you lack your own sense of power, you're lacking. Um, and so wanting to be near me to cause harm, to keep an eye out to make sure I'm not accomplishing things, keep an eye out to make sure that I'm not too happy, I'm not laughing too loud. Like this real overseer cracker behavior, like real nasty, frowsy front behavior. And so many people have had this experience that I don't I don't know how to see it any other way. I don't understand how it could be anything other than mental illness. People who go out of their way to harm people who have not harmed them should KYS. They should. They have no like they have no value. Like you wake up attempting to think of ways to make someone else's day worse, someone else's life worse, so that you can get a tiny feeling of being more than the roach you are. That's pathetic. And in realizing just how pathetic of a bitch you gotta be like that, I wake up every day grateful. I've been a lot of things. I ain't never been a loser bitch. I ain't never been a hating ass bitch. I ain't never been pathetic. Like, I've never been, like, I've known so many pitiful bitches. You're pitiful bitch. Like, damn, bro. Ew. Bottom feeder. I'm grateful. Like, there's all this conversation on social media about jealousy being normal. To who? Like, what does anybody else's life have to do with my life? What does what you have to do with what I have or want? Like, this scarcity mindset of what one person has attained somehow reflecting on another person. We're not like I don't have that kind of codependency. I've never had that kind of codependency, and I think that I was insulated from it by being raised around that kind of codependency. That everything you do has to do with me. Everything you are has to do something with me. And so witnessing it when people that I'm not even like related to, it's like you're a danger to yourself and your children and others. Like you're a threat in this world. Like you are, hey, you want to feel big and bad, you are a predator. You are just as predatory as everywhere else we want to point and say predators are. Like, congratulations. You get something. Better be that. You don't have any value, you're worthless, but you get to at least have that, I guess. Black kids deserve better. and unhealed Black parents. And I think it was the first video in this series because I recorded it a year ago. Um, where I said like for what I want to put out into the world, I'm tired of talking about systemic issues from distance. I'm tired of talking about how all of this was created by the patriarchy, and I'm more interested in talking about everybody who's going to be a cycle breaker and talking to those who are going to be cycle breakers individually. Because the more distance you're able to put between your behaviors or someone else's behaviors and who you actually are as a person by reaching back to the systemic problem that caused it, the less likely you are to heal, it seems. Like from what I've seen, it seems like there was so much stuff that I experienced over the years that because I understood, because I knew where it came from, people took that as me understanding them, which I did. I understand why you fucked up. I understand why you a piece of shit, right? I do understand it. But took that as like license, permission to continue doing it. Well, if you understand that, I come from I'm come from trash, so I'm trash, then you should just let me keep harming you. So you're not trying to be better. You just want to be able to harm someone, period, but also be able to harm someone that you knows why you're fucked up. You're a punching bag. Psychotic. That's genuinely psychotic behavior. Um, I pray for all the innocents, right? But the standard that I ask, you know, the creator universe to hold me to in whatever, I do going forward. However I'm meant to fulfill my purpose in this world is let me be a resource for anybody whenever they come across me to know that just because you came from trash doesn't mean that you can't do the work to become treasure. And I've always felt too much, right? I'm highly sensitive. I've always felt a lot, feel for people. And that's why I don't forgive, because I feel I feel for the child in you who is buried under the rubble of everything you suffered from, that you are too fucking weak to go and rescue. I feel for the karmic debt, maybe even physical debt, that you're going to pay instead. That child is going to pay instead because of you. And actions have consequences. God forgives. I don't. I spare no one. Like, whatever it takes for people who intentionally cause harm to stop being able to harm people. Um, the other thing, it's not a separate thing. It's just a different iteration that I see a lot. And I'm going to say I see a lot of Black women. I know that it's not just Black women. I just don't care. This is what I mean by, like, I don't care about systems anymore. I have no desire to save the world. Anybody who can be helped in any way by anything I do, I'm for it. But I care about Black children and Black adults who want to not be people who cause harm, right? That's my sphere of concern. I see a lot with Black women this idea that someone else shining somehow takes away your shine or prevents you from also shining. Like, so many social media posts where somebody's vaguely posted, I hate when I see, and it's some, you know, style choice that another Black woman has made. And then you see people posting like examples, and inevitably somebody will post someone else's post, and the original poster will be like, that's the one that sparked this. Yeah, that's what I saw that sparked me to post this. Do you know how weak your pussy gotta be? Like, this is the pelvic prolapse behavior. Do you know how pissy of a bitch you gotta be to see someone feeling cute and be like, not on my watch. This bitch will not feel cute on my watch. I'm gonna post about how I don't like this thing she did. Ooh, I might even get more likes than she got on her original post feeling cute. Ooh, that's gonna feel so good. And then I'm gonna get people posting themselves with that same thing, trying to get me to approve of them, and that's gonna feel so good. And then I'm gonna tell them, ooh, no, that still ain't it, friend. That still ain't it, friend. And that's gonna feel so good. Until you have to do it tomorrow. Like, you still the same nasty bitch. You still you. After all of that, you still you. I like it when it's like the cute way, when it's like, a woman wearing red lipstick. It's like, I hate when women wear red lipstick, and then everybody posts it and gets, it's like compliment fest. Or I hate men with sweaty little glasses, and they all post themselves with sweaty little glasses, and it gets a lot of compliments. I love that. That's real cute. But there's just a lot of pissy bitch energy in our community, and some of it is reality TV brain damage. Like, some of it is like watching multiple shows for over a decade now of Black women being around each other just to be stank. But it's gone on so much longer than that. Like, whenever I see stuff like that, I'm always like, was your mom stank bitch too? Or are you like first generation? Because I never think that it's like, I never think that you came from somebody quality. Like, I think that you were like multi-generational stank. I want a Black woman sociologist to talk about how big of a hypocrite I am for using language that is actually problematic for the exact same reason. Y'all can have that. I don't give a fuck. I'm a hypocrite. I know that. Y'all still stink. I want individuals to be less triggered into responding in that way, right? Like, I want somebody to say that they think jean jackets are tacky, and you in no way feel the need to post your favorite jean jacket. Like, are you seeking approval? Are you what does it approve? You get to think, you get to not like things. You even get to say you don't like things. But the getting off to one shit talking somebody that they didn't even think they were cute. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like this whole like you see, like I've seen mothers say to their daughters, and trust me, I've read the research. Like I know specifically in slavery and Jim Crow where this came from. Like I know, I'm well aware. You should still gotta stop. Um, but say to their daughters like, ugh, when I do your hair, you just don't know how to act. Ugh, you think you cute. Da, 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 da. Why wouldn't you want something you created in your body to feel cute? What the fuck is wrong with you? Slavery, yeah, yuck, yuck. I love moms who are like, post a baby, the baby is, posing and like I love when women pour into their daughters. Specifically, you know what I'm saying? I love when everybody pours into their children, period. And other people's kids. I love that. But like women who don't view their daughters as a threat in some way, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Like I said, I know bitches who genuinely, because of the way that they move with other women and have their entire lives, and because of the fact that their daughters are going to be naturally prettier than they are, about to be in for a rough time. Rough time. Whew. I've never felt the need to humble anybody, literally, unless they came in my face like with entitlement. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never like if you feel like I owe you something, then yeah, you need me to humble you, and this is a one-to-one kind of thing. But like this idea of like you shining makes me so angry. You shining makes me feel so void. Hey, you're void. Hey, you have no light. Hey, you're not shining. Hey, you suck. You shit. I mean, what the fuck? What that got to do with me? Take that up with your people. Take that up with God. Take it up with your therapist. Take it up with somebody else. This world has 8 billion people in it. How are you mad that there's somebody who is not you living their life for themselves, by themselves? Like, ew, ew. I want black men, the healthier ones, right? I want black men to be vocal about vetting women as partners based on how she perceives strangers, right? Like not necessarily her friends, although if a bitch, is constantly talking shit about her friends to you, then, you know, she's definitely talking shit about you to everybody else, right? But like, if you're out with a chick and she's mugging another woman who's not checking for you, you know she's not checking for you, you might not even be checking for her, consider whether or not your precious seed should be in the care of a bitch like that. Because let's be clear, you know, we know what these households is looking like. So, you know, I wish I could wave a wand and stop creating new victims. But what I can do is tell people, like, hey, this thing that's very common that you just accepted is really abnormal, antisocial, sociopathic behavior, right? Like, it's really, like, it's just real gross. Like, I think it's, this is gonna sound so fucked up. Some years ago, some rapper said that she only wanted baddie friends. And people got up in arms, it's so superficial, blah, blah. And they were right, all the criticism was correct. But did it happen eventually? At some point, I think maybe with one of the black women murdering one of their quote unquote friends on vacation scenarios, maybe it's Shanquella Robbins. It came up that mismatched energy, which a shorthand for a lot of times is mismatched appearance, right, is dangerous. Like her saying, I want baddie friends, as the person who has regularly been the only one that's getting attention, the only one that's getting drinks bought, the only one that's being let in. So again, I'm always like you guys like my girls. Like I've always been like, I don't consider myself a girl's girl. Let's be clear. I don't. It's just too much. That's too layered. That's not this video. That'll be a different video maybe. But I don't. I'm not a girl's girl. But I am the. Why would I come in if they can't come in when I came with them? Why would I accept this drink from you if I came with them? You're not buying for them too. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I've been in many situations where I'm the one that pulls, right? And never again. Never again. Um, I had like there's literally been one time in my life where like me and the other person that I was like going out with both got hollered at. You know what I'm saying? Like it's literally been one time where that was the case. But like for the most part, it's like I get attention, right? Huh, strange. Um, but never again. And I understand girls wanting to go out with people that, we all look like a girl gang of cuties. I get that because for however superficial it might be, if you think that it's just for the photos, and a lot of times it is, there's also like, you don't want to be the person where there's a bitch looking at you stank, but y'all came here together and y'all more likely leaving together. Like, and I've had multiple, you know, sick, demented bitches. Why do you always get attention? Why do they always talk to you? Why do people out? Why do people like you? Why do, when the question should be one, why do I not draw in what I'm attracted to? And two, why am I not grateful for the overflow? You non-pulling bitch. Like, Black women do a lot of damage to the Black community in a way that is not described like that. There's always a but. Well, what about? Nah, we can't have it both ways. We can't have it both ways. We can't be the best. And in my cosmology, be God, be the first in line, right? We can't do that and then be this nasty, like yuck, yuck. No, it doesn't work like that. Shouldn't work like that. So I think that's it. I think that's it. I think I can wrap. Um, Now that I've cleared all that, fun times ahead. Fun times ahead. I have much, whew, so much to do for this channel. Um, I'm so excited. Like I'm so excited. I'm so ready to do so much for this channel and other things that I'm working on. And I thought that I was gonna cry in this video because when I like this, the concept of this video is what started the whole series. Like, so I had like this big moment a year ago, and like I cried for like my own internal sense of safety that I had provided myself by removing all the, nasty people from my life, and knowing that this was like the maybe not the most core wound, but like the kind of one that built off, but all the others built from the boulder closest to me. Everything else is stacked on top of or out from. I thought I was gonna cry, and I might, at some point, I probably will do some purging, at some point. But I just feel so good that I have completed this series, and now I have so many more to do. And so now I can manifest the right kind of people, right? The family I want, the friends I want, the man who will let me organize his Jordans or Funko Pop collection. I don't collect Funko Pops. I only have like 2 or 3, but y'all see Susie. Y'all see Susie. Um, yeah, like there's so much more that I want to say. There's so much more that I wanted to say and do with this video, but when you are processing stuff constantly, like in real time, and it comes out. Especially when you script in your head and don't write stuff down, it comes out the way it needs to come out. That's what I prayed for. I prayed that I do what was necessary and not what I wanted. Right? I did what was just enough. Whew. I did enough. But yeah, these will continue to burn until the cords pop. So this one is the closest to being on its way out, and that'll keep going until it's done. But I'm ready for what's next for this channel and what's next for us. Yeah, I say.